The in-custody death last month of 26-year-old Marvin Scott III in Tarrant County, Texas. After being restrained at the county jail, including the use of pepper spray and being placed in what's called a spit hood following a misdemeanor marijuana arrest. 7 officers were fired on Thursday in connection with Scott's death, and an 8th under investigation has resigned. I'm joined now by Lee Merritt, the Scott family's attorney. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The sheriff there says that these detention officers violated well-established policies and procedures. What do you know about what happened when he was in custody?
The only thing that we know about what happened is from what Sheriff Skinner told us, the Tarrant County sheriff. And he told us that really 4 things took place that were beyond both policy, and those policies run parallel with the Constitution. So there was an unlawful restraint on an illegal chokehold applied, the mace that you mentioned in the opening, the spit hood that caused asphyxiation, and similar to George Floyd, there was another officer who climbed on top of Mr. Scott and placed a knee in order to hold him down in order to put him in a restraint bed.
After these officers were fired, you tweeted that Mr. Scott's family is, quote, relieved but anxious to see these men arrested and held criminally accountable. We also know there's body camera as well as security footage from the jail that's now part of the investigation by the Texas Rangers who took over the case. Should that be released publicly, you think?
We certainly want to see it released to the family. We think that the Tarrant County community is owed a debt of transparency, and so we do want to see the video released publicly. And when the family met with Sheriff Skinner, he promised them 3 different times that as soon as his administrative investigation was complete, that our office would receive a copy of the file in order to prepare our civil claims. And so, you know, that video is what was causing the family such angst. They know that everyone who has seen that video from the administrative side, from the Texas Rangers, have concluded that something went completely awry and that the men involved should be held accountable, and the family is anxious to see that video.
Now, it's been reported that Mr. Scott had mental health issues, including a prior diagnosis of schizophrenia, and he was first taken to an emergency room before jail. How has the sheriff's office responded on why he was taken into custody after less than 2 ounces of marijuana?
So Mr. Scott had a 2-year diagnosis of schizophrenia. He had been taken to a treatment facility on previous occasions when stopped by the police when he was under an episode. This time he was taken to this detention facility for less than 2 ounces of marijuana. In most jurisdictions, that would have either been stomped out or been a cite and release. Instead, he was taken into custody, and during his episode, we know that he was brutalized and killed. That is not what we expect for some of our most vulnerable citizens, individuals suffering mental health crisis. And the family is anxious to see what happens next to these officers.
And Lee, at this point, what concerns you most? Because it seems like the sheriff is taking this matter seriously, that there's been disciplinary action taken, and an investigation is being conducted by a third party. But at this point, because I know you work these kinds of cases across the country, what here for you doesn't pass the smell test at this point?
Our biggest concern is the failure to release that video. We know if it's exculpatory evidence, that evidence would be out already, explaining that the officers were doing exactly what they were trying to do. We're concerned that there's been so much whispering in the back room about what that video actually shows. We're afraid that it may be worse than what we actually believe. And so the family is really looking forward to seeing that video and knowing for themselves what happened to Marvin Scott III.
Sure. In the family's view, could this have been handled differently as a mental health case?
That's correct. It should have been handled differently. You know, no one should ever have to go into custody because of less than 2 ounces of marijuana. In fact, in the region, the law enforcement is considering changing their policies to not allow for individuals that were going through something like Marvin Scott was going through to be taken into custody.
And finally, you've represented a number of cases involving the deaths of black men and women at the hands of police across the country. Do you have any concerns with how this investigation is being handled, or are officials being to your satisfaction, completely transparent. I know that you want this tape released. Are there other things you think they could be doing, should be doing?
Yeah, I wish that the arrest would be made immediately. When Amber Geiger killed Botham Jean in the local jurisdiction, the adjacent jurisdiction of Dallas County, within 5 days she was arrested. When Roy Oliver killed 15-year-old Jordan Edwards in a local jurisdiction, the sheriff's office immediately issued an arrest. Marvin Scott was killed. What these men did, of course, it was an administrative violation. Of course, there are criminal concerns, but we want to see these men placed under bond, and we want to see this case treated as if someone's life was lost, which we believe begins with an arrest.
Lee Merritt, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.